everybody's a returned student except for Elijah, right? Okay. Basically, I'll tell you like we told everybody else. Number one, we don't deal with discipline problems here. Number two, if we have a problem with you, we just call your parents out and we come get you. Okay? Basically, cut that, okay? When you hear, sometimes we'll go outside, you guys take a break, you ought to stay in this compound. You're not to go outside the compound, outside the gate, without letting us know where you're going and what you're doing, okay? My name is Bill Johnson. I'm the administrator and one of the instructors. The gentleman to your rear is Mr. Navarro Jackson.
So they all know me.
He is the founder. He's also an instructor. And the main man for this event is Mr. Giles. He's the chief flight instructor here.
Yep.
Mr. Giles has over 20,000 hours of flight time.
17.
17, okay. That's close enough. We can't beat that. So we were blessed and we're gifted to have him with us, and he'll be starting off in first class this morning, okay? As you can see, we added a couple of things this year, and hopefully it'll make things better. We try to put as many stations back there as we can so nobody's left out, nobody has to stand around. But if we get more people in the next day or so, and we may run into that problem, we won't worry about it, we'll work it out, we'll get through it, okay? Any questions about anything we're going to be doing? The three of you know what we're going to be doing. He's not familiar with it yet, but he will be by this afternoon, okay? So you guys ready to get started? Lunch is the same time as we did last year. Lunch is still free. So you don't have to pay, eat as much as you want, okay? All right, so let's get started. I think Mr. Giles is going to start off this morning, and you give him your undivided attention. Thank you very much.
Guys, we're glad to have you back. Really are. Now, okay, school year consists of schools. I don't know what your idea on school is, but to me, school's a pain in the neck. I'm not a good school guy. I don't do school well. And it was all I could do by the grace of God to get out of school. But, hey, it's a fact of life. You got to get through it. What we would like to do here is make this fun. It's supposed to be fun. We don't want to have this boring 2 and 2 is 9 and all of this kind of stuff. We don't want to do that. We want this to be fun. The main attraction, obviously, is the simulator to do that. In order to use the simulator properly, there's certain things you have to know about airplanes that makes the simulator work. And you need to understand those things, and we're going to try to give you those things and teach you what they're all about. While we are doing this, we're going to use a lot of words that in the beginning you don't understand. Aerodynamics, physics, Boyle's Law, Archimedes' Principle. What's that all about? I don't want to clutter your brain up with that kind of stuff, but you need to understand that stuff. So I want to explain it to you, what we're talking about. What keeps these airplanes in the air? Why do they stay up there? I don't know. There's reasons for that. And you use a lot of terms. Now when I say these terms, and Bill and I say these terms, if you don't understand them, say so. So whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Like speed. We've got 5 definitions of speed. What speed are you talking about? We're talking about indicated, true, calibrated. What are we talking about here? What's going on? So I want to explain all this stuff as we move along, but I don't want to clutter up your brain with a lot of just stuff that's really insignificant. In order to get the simulators going, do, there's a few things you have to understand about them. And the gauges on the simulator are going to tell you what the engine's doing, how much power you're using, how high you are, and those things. So we'll talk about that a little bit. You did that before, and you understand that. But last year, we put more emphasis on sit down at the table, give it all the power you can give it, and go. Point the nose up and climb. Get to where you think's a good altitude, level off, and fly around. Well, we're going to try to break that down a little bit more specific this time. How much power do you use? At what speed do you lift the nose? How do you look for all of this stuff? Where do you look? How do you point your eyeballs around the instrument panel? What do you look at? What tells you these things? Can Bill?
Yes, sir.
Can you put this thing on whatever they're on, one of those where we can talk about that panel a little bit?
Instruments?
What is the same panel they've got on their computer?
I got that thing over there too.
Oh, yeah, that's...
All right, let's use that.
Yeah, I'll hold it for you.
I didn't put it up here.
I'll hold it for you.
Okay. We need to have a vague idea of what this stuff is all about. The thing that keeps an airplane in the air is speed. Speed. What does that mean? Where do you get the speed?
Let me let you come over here so you can see, because you need this more than they do. I'm going to move you over here for a second, okay? This is something you've never seen before. They've seen it before, but I want you to learn it too.
Now, I don't want to get too far into the instrument thing, but we need to do this when we're going to fly the simulator. Here's the airspeed indicator. Indicator. So that means, you know what an indicator is? What's an indicator? What's that word mean? What's an indicator? Come on, talk to me. Something that tells you something. Yeah, cool. This tells you how fast you're going through the air. Why is it located over here? The reason it's located over here is when you're flying the airplane, as you know on the simulator, when you're flying the airplane and you raise the nose, you can't see anything but blue sky. Ooh, okay. You have to look around the instrument panel out the left side. What is in your field of vision when you look around the instrument panel at the left side? Airspeed indicator. So, this is an extremely important indicator. It gives you extremely important information because what keeps the airplane in the air is movement through the air at a specific speed or greater than that speed. And how do you know what that speed is? Right there. You look at that and it moves like this. It's got these white and green and yellow and red marks on it that give you certain information. I don't want to get into that too much. But my point is, what keeps the airplane in the air? Speed. Airplane moving through the air. That causes, as it moves through the air, it goes over the top of the wing and over the bottom. The airplane, the wing splits the air, cuts it in two.
I didn't need that.
All right, never mind. As we go through the air, it splits the air. Now the air on top has got further to travel because the wing has a bow in the top. You remember that? You remember that? travels over the bottom. So there's less pressure on top because the air is stretched. That makes sense?
All this stuff here, I'm sorry. All right.
Anytime you don't understand, just ask a question. Okay?
So consequently, that movement through the air creates the lift that keeps the airplane in the air. Speed determines how much or how effective that lift is. Will that airplane lift a lot of weight or a little weight? What does it do? The more speed you got, the more weight it will lift up to a certain point, and then it just goes faster. So, speed is the key. You gotta get the speed. Going through the air, where you go through the air, you split the air, it goes over the top and the bottom of the wing, and it's thinner on top, consequently, that lifts the wing up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You understand? If you're just sitting on the ground and you are not moving through the air, ain't going nowhere. It's just going to sit there. Unless you're tied down to something and there's a hurricane and you're sitting in the airplane and the wind is blowing over the wing as opposed to you going through the wind air. That's another story. Does that make sense? So, at the airport, you see airplanes tied to the ground. I don't know if you've ever had an opportunity to visit an airport or not. Have you been to an airport? You ever been to an airport? Yeah? You look at the ground, there you look at the ground on the airplane. You look at the airplanes on the ground, how they're tied down. So if the wind's blowing, it can pick that thing up. We don't want that to happen. Or if it's blowing sideways, it can blow it over. And we don't want that to happen. Airplanes are expensive. They cost a lot of money. Okay. The speed, left side, when you raise the nose, you got to look around the instrument panel a little bit to the left. Once in your field of vision is the airspeed indicator. Now, one of the things we do while we're looking at these instruments, we've got to look at several of them. And we've got to take in what they all say. We've got to have what we call a basic T. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what we've got. This right here, the basic T. And these here are kind of supplementary. But these is what we're really interested in. This right here. Okay. And we have to get the information from all of these instruments. We call that scan. What does scan mean to you? You ever heard that term before? Scan? What does it mean to you?
Can you say something?
Hey, man, this is not
No,
a test.
you got to speak up.
Absolutely, right on.
Good deal.
Analyze the instruments that you're looking at. Okay. But, you know how it is when you get frightened. You look at one thing. We need that. We need to look at all of them. We need to scan. We need to look. We need to scan these instruments. And what are all of these instruments telling you? Alright? We need to scan. You've got to keep speed, keep the airplane flowing through the air. There's two ways to do that. If you're on the ground and you want the airplane to move through the air, you either got to have a tow truck or you got to have the engine running. One or the other. Ain't gonna work any other way if you're sitting on the ground. Unless you're on a real steep hill. Now, if you're sitting on a steep hill and you don't engage the brakes and you point the nose of the airplane down the hill, what's going to happen? It's going to roll. Right. Why? Now, boy, you got it. You got it. There's a word for that. Gravity. Gravity pulls everything towards the center of the earth. Gravity. So, if you're in the air and you're not sitting on the ground, and you turn the motor off, and you point the nose a little bit down, what's the airplane going to do? What's the airplane going to do? Talk to me. Somebody, say something. It's going to do the same thing it did on the hill. Gravity is going to move it through the air until what happens? Until it meets the ground. And if you have control, you can prevent it from exploding. We call that a landing. Just land airplane. Okay. You are limited in your choices of where to land the airplane if you don't have an engine running. You're going to land it where it wants to land, because when it runs out of speed, it's going to quit flying. As long as you keep it moving through the air at the appropriate speed. What is that speed? I didn't want to get too far in it. But there's what we call a stall speed. As long as you are moving through the air to cause the air, you're moving through the air smoothly, and the air is passing over the wing smoothly, it's going to create that lift. But once that air abruptly stops moving smoothly, we call that a stall. The wing stalls. So, and the air is kind of buffeting over the wing. You remember that last year? Okay. Now you knew that already. You've been studying. Smart guy. Okay. So, we have a stall speed. The bottom of the green arc. Now, why do I say bottom? That's up pretty high. Well, it's the lower number. So if I say the bottom of the arc, I'm talking about the lower number. If I say the top of the arc, I'm talking about the higher number. So the bottom of the green arc is 45, is this miles an hour? This is knots. 45 knots. That's the bottom of the green arc. That means it's going to quit flying, and you need to stay above that number. So, if you don't have an engine, you got to lower the nose to keep it above that bottom of the green arc. And if the ground gets in the way, you don't have a choice. Land. Control the airplane. So, bottom of the green arc. What this white arc means is that's the flap setting. I can put in full flaps if I'm below the top of the white arc. So the white arc's right here. This is the top of the white arc. Anywhere from here to here, I can add full flaps. a good chance one of them's going to come off, one of them could break, and you've got flap on one side and no flap on the other side. And now you've got a shown up problem. Don't want to go there. So we have to be conscious of our speed when we make our configuration change. Configuration, what does configuration mean? You know what anybody know what configuration means? We configure the airplane. Just give it a shot. Come on, give it a shot. Take it into consideration. Yes, that's close. How about it? No, not vibration. All right, big gun. Come on, tell me what. No, give me that. Come on, give me something. Say something.
Come on, guys, configuration. What does it mean?
Configuration. If we open the door of the car, basically we reconfigure or we configure the shape of the car. If the door's closed on the car, and the car is driving down the road, air moves, the car moves through the air smoothly and slowly. What's going to happen if we open the door? If we open the door, it's going to create more pressure on that side, and which is going to slow the car down a little bit. We call that drag. And it's going to slow the car down a little bit. So what we've done in essence is we've changed the configuration of the car. I don't know if you're NASCAR fans or not, but race cars have, and I don't know, you ever watch NASCAR racing? You ever watch stock car racing? Okay. What happens when a stock car gets backwards? You see those little flaps come up on the roof? What that does is supposed to slow the car down. They're put up with hinges when they're going forward and the car is going through the air forward, everything's nice and smooth. But if you get in a wreck and it spins around and goes backwards, now it's going through the air backwards. The wind blows that force of going through the air in that direction, lifts that flap up. And that flap slows the car down. Now the objective is to get it slowed down because you're about to have a problem. So, does that make sense? You buy that? Okay. So.
That's something I never knew.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
I always seen it go up. I didn't know that
That's
was
the purpose of it.
Yeah.
The reason for it is to slow the car down, or to help slow it down. And as it spins around and the air hits it, it stops slowing it down. So that changes the configuration. So if we're flying along at cruise, let's say this thing right here is reading 1,000 feet, and this thing right here is right straight across just like it is now, and this thing right here is reading 120 knots, and where's my power supply? Here. I got an RPM gauge on this thing somewhere. There it is, right there. All right, behind the control wheel. It's not a steering wheel, it's a control wheel. Okay? Just thought I'd pass that tidbit of information on to you. Okay. Right there. So, and this thing right here is reading about 2,400. All right. Everything's fat, dumb, and happy, and we're doing our thing. But I want to begin descending. So I have to change the configuration of the airplane. I do that by moving the control. I ease the control wheel a little bit forward, which changes the configuration, and the speed picks up, and this picks up just a little bit. But the speed picks up. But let's say I'm pretty close to the airport, and I don't want to shoot past the airport. I want to slow the airplane down in the air, so I make a power change. I come back on the power, and I reduce this number right here to about 17 or 1800. So I reduce that number, I'm reconfiguring the airplane. So, configuration, pretty big deal. You got to understand when I use the term configure, reconfigure, that's what I'm talking about, changing something that's making the airplane go through the air. I'm either reducing the power and adding gravity to maintain speed. So if I reduce the power, the airplane it's manufactured to where the tail's going to come up, it's going to rotate on the center of gravity, and the nose is going to go down gently. But what's the center of gravity we're talking about? We talk about gravity. Gravity is pulls you to the earth. Okay? Gravity pulls you towards the earth. Everything. And you gave us a wonderful display last year of gravity pulls you towards the earth. We use the term down. Be very careful about using the term down in an airplane. What does down mean? What does that mean? You're sitting right here. That's down, right? Okay, that's down. That's pretty simple. That's down. Because gravity is pulling us that way. But what if you're in an airplane and you're inverted? What does inverted mean? Upside down, right. If you're flying along normal attitude and you reconfigure the airplane to climb, nose goes towards the sky. Okay? Make sense? Yeah. But if you're flying along straight and level, you roll the airplane over on its back, and you put in the exact same control input to make the nose climb, what's going to happen? Down. What does down mean? You're going towards the earth. Does that make sense? All right. Back 1,000. Okay. Let's get back right side up. If I going along straight and level and I rotate a little bit to the right. Now if I ask you, okay, here we are, I want you to give me a 30-degree bank turn to the left for 90 degrees. What are you going to do? What does that mean to you? Talk to me. What does it mean?
Come on, guys.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't know what I'm talking about. What's this turkey talking about? You want to go that way? Point. That's the way I'm going. Look at that. Okay. So we've got to have some definition. We got to understand what is a reasonable degree of bank. What does degree mean? What's a degree? What's degree mean, Professor? Try it. You'll probably get it right. You usually do. Good. Standing He knows what he's talking about. What's your name? All right. He knows what he's doing. Now, you pay attention to this guy. Pay attention to him. You got to watch him. Don't let him cheat on your test, okay? All right. Yeah. You did good. You did good. Okay. Degree is a unit of measurement. If you're going to get, if you go to, what is it? Who makes your pizza? Pizza Hut. You go to Pizza Hut, you get a round pizza. You tell them, what are you going to tell them you want a 2-inch square cut out of that pizza? No, what do you tell them? You would probably tell them, give me a 15-degree cut out of that round pizza. He would think you're nuts. But that's what it means. That's what it means. It's the degree of a circle. Like the compass. Now all of you do the compass. I was shocked last year when I said, do you know what a compass is? And every one of you pulled out your cell phone. You had a compass on your cell phone. You still got them? You got your compass on your cell phone?
Should have, unless you took it off.
You got your compass on your cell phone? Why? Well, you're going to use it here. Okay. We got to measure a degree. We got to measure a circle. We have to know if we're going to turn the airplane. So how are we going to turn it? How much? If I say to you, okay, turn left. And the girls are bad about this. Okay. And I'm expecting an absolute turn right over there. How many degrees is that? He says 90. You agree? Cool. 90 degrees. But not the girls. Boom, they'll go about 30 or something like that. I don't know why. I have no idea. I'll be 83 years old in 3 weeks. I still don't understand girls. And I'm not going to try. So I've got 2 girls of my own, and I've been married for 58 years to the same one. And she ain't even taught me nothing. Whatever. So, here we go. So I've got to be able to give you a definite number. And if you're talking to a controller, or if you're entering a traffic pattern, what does pattern mean? What's pattern?
Something that it repeats itself and it's somewhere all the way home.
Yes, sir. I agree, 100%. What do you have to say?
A path.
Huh?
A path.
A pass? A path. Yeah, path. Wow, that makes sense. I never thought of it that way, but that makes perfect sense. How about you? Tell me something. What's pattern? What's pattern mean? Oh, don't give me that head shaking. I ain't taking it. Huh? No, I want to hear what you say. I don't care what they say. Come on, tell me something. Tell me something. What's your address? You got it, baby. That's it. You know more than you think you do. Wow. Okay. A pattern. If we know when we are flying to Tallahassee that the runway over there is runway 180 or 18, we drop the 0 and the N for runway number, and we know that we are going to hit the runway, or we're going to arrive at the runway area from a heading of 270, that's our arrival, and our heading will be, in order, if we're flying, our heading would be 090, which is the reciprocal. What does reciprocal mean?
Opposite.
Yes, yes, yes. It's the reciprocal. 090 is the reciprocal of 270. So it's 180 degrees. My goodness, why do they have to make it 180? Why couldn't it be 200? It's a lot simpler to figure that out. But I didn't write the book. I just do what it says. So, the way my flight instructor taught me 46 years ago to figure out the reciprocal is if it is more than 180, subtract 200 and add 20. If it's,
Want to take a break pretty soon? Whatever you want.
sure. Cool. Let me give me another 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. He's politely telling me I talk too much now.
No.
So, if we know that our heading is 270 and the runway is 180, what does that tell us? Here's our heading and here's the runway heading. Alright? We got to land on that runway, so we got to get turned around. It's 180, so we got to turn this way. So, my heading is 090. I'm approaching from 270. So I got to get turned and enter that way. Alright, how do I do that? What I do is when I get to the center of the runway about 2 miles out, I make a 45-degree left turn and I enter the traffic pattern at 45 degrees to the downwind. Well, what's downwind? If the runway is running 180, I'm landing into the wind. I didn't tell you that. Why do you correct me? You gotta watch me. I'll throw you a curve every now and then. Okay. You land into the wind, so the wind's got to be coming from the south, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 180. So my downwind leg is going to be 360. So I'm going to enter the pattern at a 45-degree angle to 360. Well, I'm glad I figured that out. So my heading is going to be 045 when I enter. Does that make any sense at all? Okay, cool. So I enter the pattern at a 45. I get about a quarter mile, half a mile away from the runway. I turn and I go downwind, which is 360. I go out about another quarter mile, half a mile, and I turn right. 90 degrees, which is 090. I begin my descent, and I put in second notch of flaps, and I go up there on final approach. I come around, I get my speed down to 70 knots. Big deal. Speed, speed, speed. I have good control at that speed. I'm not going so fast, I'm going to overshoot the runway. I get down close to the runway. I reduce all of the power. I bring the RPM gauge back to 0. I got the carburetor heat in. I gently lift the nose about a quarter inch off the ground and keep it there until the mains touch down, and I gently taxi to the ground. That makes sense? You ready to do it? Fire it up and go. What are we doing? Okay, look. First off, what keeps it in the air? What keeps an airplane in the air?
Speed.
Speed. Okay. How can I get that speed? Talk to me. How do I move an airplane through the air? increase power. Okay, does that make sense? Add power. But what if I want to slow down and I don't want to go that fast? What do? I take all the power off, but I need speed. How do I get speed? Lower the nose. Now where's the speed coming from? Gravity. So there's two sources of speed. One is the engine, the other is gravity. What happens if I put the two together? I go faster. But I want to land, I don't want to go fast, I want to stop. I can't reduce gravity. If I'm above the ground, gravity is going to take me to the ground whether I like it or not. I can control it. So, I can reduce the power. All right, let's take a break. Any questions? Any questions at all? Now guys, this is supposed to be fun. This is really supposed to be fun. Does everybody know everybody? Do you remember his name, so and so on? Does everybody know everybody? You need to know everybody. We're supposed to have fun. We're going to have fun together. Yes, sir.
Tell you what, why don't everybody just get up and say their name and so we all know who everybody is.
All right, what's your name?
Just stand up and say your name.
Elijah. Okay. All right, that's good. Dana, tell us a story. Cayman? Wow. Cool. Glad you're back, Cayman. You had me worried. I didn't think you were going to come back. Hey, you got a name. I'm sorry, stand up.
My name is Isaiah.
Isaiah.
Man, you got
Elijah. Isaiah. Where's Moses? Dana. You got to talk louder, son.
I'm Brendan.
Brendan. I remember you. You were that troublemaker we had last year. Okay. Let's take a break. What's the plan?
10 minutes, you said, Bill?
Yeah,
10 minutes.
10 minutes. We'll come back and get started. The faster we get this done, the faster we get the flying. So we'll take 10. Remember, just don't go outside the perimeter.
How about food?
We're going to get lunch here soon. What
I
time?
guess 12:30.
Yeah, it's 12 o'clock now.
Wow, man.
So by the time you get back and get into it,
I guess lunch
Mr. Jackson will be back with lunch and we'll eat lunch and then we'll go from there.
It's gonna be 12:30 or 1 o'clock for lunch. I can't remember.
12:30.
12:30. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you should be gone, sir.
Okay.
Everything cool? Okay. Take a break. Get outside, walk around, do your thing.
Go ahead. I guess I need to.
Good man. Good man.
All right, guys, here's the plan right here. Go over traffic patterns.
Come on, Professor. You get back over here and go see.
That's your new seat. I don't want you to sit by your brother who might be a bad influence on you. You might spoil him, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, you want to cheat off his test, that's a whole put you over here. But what we're going to do, Mr. Skip is going to go over traffic patterns with you real quick. And you remember last year we went outside? We're going to do that for a bit, then we're going to bring you back here. And we're going to practice traffic patterns on the computers, okay? Kind of break this up, get you guys on the computers as fast as we can. But what he's teaching you is stuff that you need to know now in order to keep the airplane in the air. Because we all know what happens when we start. You start an airplane, what happens?
Fall backwards.
Huh? When an airplane stalls, what does that mean? Okay? The air's not flowing over the Skip said, it starts to what?
But
Okay? Cause the airplane to do, what happens when you start? What warning do you get?
okay, now you do yours.
Loud buzzer, right? Okay. So, he's gonna get you in the traffic patterns, we're gonna go over that. Once he's done with that, we'll go outside real quick, we'll do a few minutes on traffic patterns out there so that you understand, because when he developed that last year, I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced pizza, okay? So, pay attention, and last year we gave you guys no pass. I noticed you didn't bring yours, and you brought his. You were never issued one, so we get them for you when Mr. Jackson come back. He's gonna give you a little notebook. You need to bring that to class with you when you come, okay? Pen in the notebook. All right.
Okay, guys. On the notebook. Look, the last thing you need is some old white guy that's standing up here trying to tell you to run your life. I don't want to do that. But I'm going to tell you something that's going to help. You have something to write with and something to write on everywhere you go the rest of your life, and you will be ahead of the game. It will help you. If you go for a job interview and you ask the person giving you the interview, do you have a pen? Most of them will give you a pen. My daughter was a general manager of an Applebee's restaurant. And when she would get a server that came in to apply for a job, one of her servers would say, okay, here's your application. Well, if the applicant, that's the person applying for the job, said, do you have a pen? The person would say, yes, and give them a crayon that you use in a coloring book, a crayon. And she would fill out, the applicant would fill out the application in a crayon and hand it in. And whenever the application came across the general manager's desk who was doing the hiring, if it was in crayon, she threw it in the trash. Now, why do you think that is? I'm very prepared to get a job. You want somebody to work for you that isn't prepared for the application process? Hang on a minute, guys. Wait a minute. So, I have learned over the years, and I'm an old guy, I carry something to write on. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Help yourself. Look around in there. You'll find it. Thank you. You carry something to write on. Pretty dog-eared, beat up. And you carry something to write with. Preferably a pencil. 2 reasons. You can erase a pencil. And we make a lot of mistakes going through life. A lot of them. Of course, you probably don't make any, but anyway. Something to write with and something to write on. It's a big deal. In this class, don't show up without something to write with and something to write on. We're going to give you one. And make sure you bring it with you. And have it with you. Because I'm going to tell you on occasion, break out your notebook and pencil and write this down. And I want you to do that. I think it would behoove you, what does behoove mean? If I say I think it would behoove you to do that, what does that mean? You got it, buddy. It would really help you. It would really help. And I think if you've got something to write with and something to write on, whenever you meet someone, and I'll tell you, the most important meetings you will ever have in your life will be unplanned. They just happen. So, if you're ready, it'll behoove you. It'll behoove you. Okay, fine. Let's talk about the landing pad. We know that we've got I don't think I pointed out to you, but I think you guys probably remember, so I will point this out. Runways are numbered by the compass heading within 10 degrees and you drop the 0. Like runway 090 is runway 9, which is within 10 degrees of a 90 degree. So, if you are within 10 degrees of 90 degrees, the runway number is runway 9. If we're going to talk about runway 18, that's within, we drop the 0 from 180 heading, compass heading, and we call it 18. Does that make sense? All right. Let's assume that, have we got chalk?
Yes, there is, sir.
It's in that one. Go. You got it?
Chalk. Oh, I got it right. Hold on. Thank you, sir. All right. Might as well point this out right now. Six P's. Here I show up in front of a class of 5 people, and I'm unprepared, and I don't know what's going on. Now you're looking at me and says, "What's wrong with that guy? Why does he have to ask for chalk? Why have I got to slow down my learning process? Where he go find a piece of chalk. He should have been prepared." So, if you're going to make it through life, 6 P's. Proper. Prior. Planning. Prevent. Poor performance. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. Write that down. Get it in your book. 6 P's. You remember that. When you show up somewhere and you're not prepared, your performance is going to be poor. And it ain't somebody else's fault, it's your fault. So you need to be prepared. Now, if I were properly prepared, I would have had this chalk ready to go. I don't write very well, do I? Can you read that? Okay. 6 P's. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. you get a little older, I'll add another P. Make sense? Okay. We're going to fly to Tallahassee International Airport. Three-letter identifier for Tallahassee is TLH. They put a K in front of it if it has customs capability. It's KTLH. Three-letter identifier for Pensacola is PNS. It has customs capability, so it's KPNS. And so we're going to Tallahassee. The runway in Tallahassee, there's two of them, well, there's four. This is north. If this is north, what's south? This one here, okay? All right. What's the number for north in degrees? That's a controversial subject. You are correct, but a lot of people disagree with that. It's either 360 or nothing. And properly, technically speaking, is 360, not 0. Technically speaking. Do I need to hurry? Okay. So, this is 3, 6, and what do we do when we got runway to runway number? We drop the 0, right? Huh? Okay. So if this is 360, what's this one?
She gave me that.
180. All right. Or the runway number is 18. So do we put it like that? Or do we put it like this? So if you're looking at it this way, it's 18. Alright? Well now, this leads you to believe that this runway number is 3. Here, the runway is pointing to the north. So this is upside down. Alright? So what this should be is 3, 6. And this should be I don't know how to write upside down. 18, 3, 6. Make sense? Okay. What's this one? Runway 9. 18369. What's this one? We're looking for the reciprocal of 9, which is about 2/7. Okay. We got that going. You want to go ahead and eat? And then we can start back up, or what?
Yeah, before I still hot, let's let me go ahead and eat.
Yeah, okay.
All right, guys, let's take a break, eat some lunch, and then we'll get back into this after lunch.
If no one else, if it's not a Tower Airport, I would announce that on the radio, and that lets anybody else know that if we're, if they're on that frequency, we tell them, November 6-3 Hotel Charlie in here right now, I'm in Pensacola for 1-8. Everybody knows what I'm doing. This. And when we touch down, we want to be 1 knot above stall speed. We don't want to touch down going so fast we're driving the airplane on the ground, because the airplane does not like the ground. It does not want to respond properly on the ground if you're at a high speed, because the aerodynamic controls and the ground contact create friction, they create problems. So you either need to be flying in the air or on the ground driving. And if you're on the ground driving, you need to be below flying speed. So that means you want to touch down at a slow speed, right at or below flying speed. This airplane is going to fly somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 knots, depending on the day and the winds and so forth and so on. So that means if you're doing 120 knots out here, you want to slow down to enter the pattern somewhere around 90 knots. So we'll get into here and we'll be in our altitude. Above ground is AGL, above ground, AGL. So we're going to be at 1,000 feet above ground. AGL is the pattern altitude. So if we're above the ground 1,000 feet and our altimeter is set for sea level, what should our altitude be on our altimeter? So it's got to be the field elevation plus 1,000 feet. So that means we have to know what is the field elevation. Now, where do you get that information? You get that in your pre-flight planning, and you can get it from several places. You can get it from, it's on your chart. That's generally where you get it. You also, you can get it in the aviation publications, you get it on the airport diagram, you can get it in various publications. I mean, basically it's all over. But you need to know where that is. So, we know at Tallahassee, the field elevation at Tallahassee is 50 feet. I know that because I've been in there about 1 million times. Alright? So that means my pattern altitude is going to be what? Hello? Plus 50. Can you hold 50 feet? I can't. So 1,000 feet. 1,000 foot on the altimeter. If I'm in a turbine-powered airplane, it's going to be 1,500 feet. Do you need to know that? No. But if you want to dazzle your girlfriend with your brilliance, you just tell her that. And she will be, what's wrong with this guy? Never mind. So, we're going to enter 1,000 feet. What's our speed? until we get 70 knots. And when we get 70 knots, we hold 70 knots. But how do we hold 70 knots if we took all the power off? What does that mean? Huh? Honey, I'm an old man, I'm deaf. Talk to me. Huh? Descend. And if I'm descending, what force is making me go? Gravity. That's the word I'm looking for. Gravity. So you're utilizing gravity to control your speed. How do we control gravity? With the nose attitude. If I come back on the stick a little bit, that slows me down. What if I come back all the way? You're going to show enough slow down, baby, because you're coming out of the sky like a bowling ball. It's going to stop. So you've got to manage that speed with the nose attitude. Okay. We turn base leg. Right here, as we roll out on base, we put in a second notch of flaps. We reduce speed to about 65 or 70, depending on the airplane. Let's make it 70 right now, and it'll be more comfortable. We come on around, we make our right turn, we get lined up on the runway, we're doing our thing, and right over here, we're going to slow to somewhere in the neighborhood 65, somewhere in that. It might be 70. It depends on how you're moving across the ground. If you need power to keep you out of trouble, you can add power. If you have an engine, and you probably will, you can add power. However, keep that in mind, and where you turn base for that one, on your next one, turn base a little sooner, and you won't have to add that power. Does that make sense? Are you just saying that, or do you believe that? Does that make sense? Come on, Professor, talk to me. Okay, so that gets you closer. Consequently, on the next circuit, you won't have to add that power. And that's the theory. Now, add the wind. That's going to throw a monkey wrench into your situation. If the winds are blowing down the runway, which they should be, you may want to turn a little earlier. If you've got a little bit of a right crosswind, which we have, you may want to extend this downwind leg a little further out. That gives you that gives you base. You're not blown so far past the final. Where you get into real trouble is a tailwind on base. Here we are, base leg. You got a tailwind blowing, and a tailwind blowing, and you're blowing across the ground. You're really booking. So you start to turn, and you say, whoa, and now you're swinging all the way over here. Well, you turn more, and you come back on the control wheel. What happens when you turn real steep and come back on the control wheel at a low airspeed? Yes. You're asking for an approach to landing stall, which can ruin your whole day. So we don't want that. So that means you've got to do your planning, you've got to be aware of what's going on very early in the approach phase and get turned around. And if you do overshoot the final, go around. You've got to learn to go around. If it's not doing what you want it to do, and the things don't look right, and you don't think you can handle it, or you do think you can handle it, but you're a little bit worried, add power, you came here is to fly the simulator. I need to give you a little bit of information to where you can handle that simulator in a fairly, knowledgeable manner. That's what I'm trying to do. Do I expect you to remember all of this? No. But you got a pretty good idea. And do what you can. So, what do we need to remember? First and foremost, above anything in an airplane in the air is speed. Speed, speed, speed. How fast? You need to be above the stall speed, whatever that happens to be. For your particular airplane, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50, 60 knots, something like that. So you need to be above that speed. When you add flaps, that reduces the stall speed. You got these big old barn door flaps in these Cessnas on here, and if you're going around with full flaps, it's a chore. But we'll work on that another day. That's not the big reason. The big reason you're here is to fly this simulator. All right? To do that, you need to know how to take off. And take off is pretty simple. You steer with your feet. You push the go lever all the way in as far as it'll go, and you keep steering with your feet. When you get in the neighborhood of 60 knots on the airspeed indicator, which is in your field of vision over here on the left side, when you get in the neighborhood of 60 knots, gently raise the nose to the horizon. Just raise it up and get the nose where it touches the horizon. What is horizon? You know what I mean when I say horizon? Do you? What? The land, yeah. You must think I'm pretty stupid. Keep asking all these questions. Okay, that's right. You raise the nose till it touches the horizon. As you go faster, the airplane creates more lift, so what's the nose going to want to do? Go up. So you got to release a little pressure. Notice I didn't say push forward. I said release a little pressure and let that nose drop back down. We're talking about this much. Let it down a little bit. Keep the nose on the horizon. When the airplane reaches flying speed, it'll fly right off the ground. Steer with your feet, not your hands, your feet. Keep climbing, full power. You should have about 2650 on your RPM gauge, somewhere in that area, maybe 2500 or something like that. You should be doing something in the neighborhood of 70, 80 knots, something like that. 70 is more like it. And you climb out. You're going to climb to 1,000 feet on the airspeed, on the altimeter, depending on the airport. Now, I don't know what airport we got in the simulator. Do you know?
KPNS.
All right, PNS. So you're going to climb to 1,100 feet. Sorry.
I got it.
Oh, yeah. You're going to climb to 1,100 feet. You're going to turn left. We're doing left traffic. So you're going to turn left. It'll probably be before you get to 1,100 feet. When do you turn? You turn when you've got about 500, 600 feet on the altimeter, which is going to put you 400 or 500 feet above the ground. Does that make sense? 1,000 foot above the ground, 1,100 feet on the altimeter. The ground is 120 feet on the altimeter. So, all that makes sense. Got a lot of numbers here. Okay. So around 500, 600 feet, you start your left turn. Keep climbing. Keep climbing. You look out your left window, you'll see the runway in the white arc. The white arc means you can put flaps in on the airspeed indicator. White arc. You know what does that mean? Am I making sense? Does white arc make sense too? This right here. Here's the white arc. See there? Airspeed indicator gets in the white arc. Alright? At that point, first notch of flap. Get 70 knots. Come around to what you think is far enough out, and on the first one you will guarantee screw it up. You'll probably either do it too soon or too late. You're supposed to. You're just learning how to do this stuff. Okay? So, that puts you over here somewhere. You start your base leg. You look at it, and then when you get halfway through your base leg, you put in your second notch of flap. You come right around the final. You roll out on final. You're heading down the final. You should be doing 70 knots, and you're getting close to the runway. When you think you've got the runway made, put in your last notch of flaps. Maintain 70 knots until you get over the edge of the runway, and then I got you having the power off. So how are you controlling your airspeed? You don't have power. How are you controlling the airspeed? Talk to me, come on. Attaboy, gravity. Which means? Basically, yes, but I'll disagree with some of your little details there. Let's simplify it. If you want to go fast, lower the nose. If you want to go slow, raise the nose. But when I say lower and raise the nose, I don't mean whack, whack. I mean, little bitty move, okay? And that's not enough, do it again. But you gotta give it time to respond. It's not, you do this and it's not going, boom, instantaneously change. Does that make sense? Okay. Numbers to remember. Gently put the nose on the horizon in the takeoff roll when you go through 60 knots. Okay? You got that? Keep the nose on the horizon. It's going to want to climb as you pick up speed. And how do you steer the airplane on the ground?
Pedals.
What?
Pedals.
Pedals. Which you use your feet. Steer with your feet. Okay? When you break ground, you also have to help steer with your feet and your hands. But we'll get into that later. Alright? Your climb airspeed should be somewhere around 70 knots. So the speed to remember is what? The number. The number of the speed that you're going to use more than anything. What number have I said more than any other number? 70 knots. So the speed you're interested in is 70 knots. Okay? You got to be aware of the runway. Where's the runway? You can't be driving off into the hinterland. You're going to keep your runway over here on your left side. Pensacola. Come on, talk to me. 1,100 feet. Okay? So we're going to level off at 1,100 feet. When we level and we stop climbing, what's going to happen to the power? It wants to go fast. So how are you going to keep it from going fast? So you two ways you can do that. You can raise the nose and it'll slow down, or you can pull the power back. If you raise the nose, what's going to happen to your altitude?
Rise.
Huh?
Rise.
You're going to climb. Do you want to climb in the landing pad? No. So what do you have to do? Your only solution to that situation is what? Power back. Now don't just reach up there and grab it and whack, pull the thing out of the firewall. Just nice and gently come back, look at the number, see what it says, and if you moved it down to 25 RPM, 2,500 RPM, keep flying your airplane, pull it back a little more, and recheck it. I talked too much. Let's get on the,
Okay, a couple of things, yes.
Go ahead.
Good.
Go ahead.
Couple of things, what runway was set on back there?
I don't know the runways. I
probably,
read the fall.
2.6 or
3.5,
3.5 and 1.7.
3.5. That's probably 3.5 as well. I can't see it because it moved forward a little bit.
I gave you guys a diagram of the airport.
I can change the runway if you want.
Yeah.
What runway? What runway you want?
Let's go 17. Put them all on 17. Runway 17. Okay. Here's runway 17. Everybody grab your chart. Okay. Find runway 17. You got runway 17. What I want you to do is turn that chart to 17 is at the bottom. Okay? Get the runway 17 is at the bottom. Good, man? Professor, you good? You got 17 at the bottom. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Let me flip mine to 17 at the bottom. Okay, all the simulators are set at runway 17. What we're going to do is a left pattern, okay? Left pattern of the runway. So you're going to take off runway 17 and lift off past the runway. Until your airplane gets past the runway, turn left. Which puts you on the heading of what? 27. Okay. You're going to come down, looking out your left window. You're going to pass runway 26. Okay? You're going to make another left turn. Which has you going, which way? As you go north, 350, right? Then you're going to come down. Come all the way down. You're going to turn left, base leg. Come in, left on final. Okay, left pattern. Okay, off the runway, left, left, and left, and left. Everybody got that? Okay. Now, real quick. Kind of show you what that looks like.
The traffic pattern's main purpose is to ensure that air traffic flows into and out of the airport in an orderly manner. This makes the airport environment safer.
That's basically what it looks like.
Should
It's
be
like
following the same procedures. The basic traffic pattern is similar at all airports, whether it is controlled by a control tower or a non-tower airport. The traffic pattern consists of a rectangular shape made up of 5 different legs: departure, crosswind, downwind, base, and final. The standard traffic pattern is referred to as left traffic. This means that all left traffic are made to the left. A runway can also have a non-standard or most airports, the traffic pattern is typically flown 1,000 feet above the elevation of the airport. The pilot should enter the pattern on a 45 degree angle to the downwind leg, flying towards the approach end of the runway. When within about 1 mile of the runway, a turn should be made to enter the downwind leg, flying parallel to the runway and in the opposite direction of landing. The pilot should then fly 2 90-degree turns, one turn to the base leg and the other turn to the final leg, while descending to his touchdown point on the runway. This allows them to properly set up for landing and to sequence themselves with other air traffic. An airplane that is taken off and is climbing out on runway heading is on the departure leg. When at a sufficient altitude, the pilot can either depart the pattern or stay in the pattern by turning out to cross another leg. If they decide to stay in the pattern, the pilot can turn back onto the downwind leg once they have spaced themselves out sufficiently and set up to practice another landing.
So that's basically what we staying in the pattern.
There is one additional leg of the pattern which has not been mentioned yet. This leg is called the upwind leg and is also parallel with the runway, but located on the side opposite the downwind. This leg is typically only used if a pilot has to abort their landing so they can safely space themselves out from other traffic.
Okay. Everybody understand what